Deep in the world of Freemasonry, there's a name that everyone talks about: Hiram Abiff. But who was he? Was he a real person or just a character in a story? Hiram Abiff is said to be the chief architect of Solomon's Temple, known for his amazing skills. However, there's not much historical proof that he actually existed. This mystery makes us wonder, was Hiram a real person with a fascinating life, or just a legend created to teach important lessons? In Masonic rituals, Hiram Abiff represents more than just a builder. He symbolizes important values and lessons. Every tool used in Freemasonry, like compasses and squares, has a special meaning that helps members understand how to live better lives. Imagine Hiram scratching his head at modern jokes about his story, wondering why everyone finds him so fascinating. The symbols connected to him teach us about honesty, truth, and self-improvement, making his story both serious and a little funny. One of the biggest mysteries about Hiram Abiff is the lost word. What is this word, and why is it so special? The lost word symbolizes the search for knowledge and understanding. For Freemasons, finding this word is like going on an adventure to discover the truth about ourselves and the world around us. Picture a group of Masons joking about trying to find this word at their morning coffee shop. It shows how seriously they take their quest, but with a light-hearted twist. Hiram Abiff has a huge impact on Masonic traditions that are still celebrated today. His story is told in lodges all around the world, showing how special it is to many people. Even though some argue about whether Hiram was real or just a story, his character continues to inspire discussions. Some people are convinced he lived, while others think he's purely a symbol. These debates keep his legend alive and exciting. As we explore the mystery of Hiram Abiff, we discover layers of history, symbols, and the search for knowledge. Yet, like all great mysteries, we may never know the full truth. Hiram Abiff's story encourages us to ask questions and seek answers.
Who was Hiram Abiff? Every Freemason, and indeed anyone interested in Freemasonry, must have asked themselves that question at some point. In Masonic teachings, Hiram Abiff is the architect of King Solomon's Temple, and his story is one of faithfulness and death before dishonor. But more than that, Hiram Abiff, or Adoniram, as he is known in some texts, is the template of excellence in Freemasonry and appears throughout the centuries in many Masonic degrees, in various guises, lessons, and references. A figure of virtue, justice, skill, and honor. If Freemasonry has a hero, that hero is Hiram Abiff. In craft Freemasonry, the third degree, or raising, is for many Masons an extremely moving and symbolic experience. Central to the degree is the figure of Hiram, and so important is he that it seems necessary to understand Hiram to truly understand Freemasonry itself.
Hiram, the descendant of Tubal-Cain, who first constructed a furnace and worked in metals, erected a marvelous building, the Temple of Solomon, raised the golden throne of Solomon, and built many glorious edifices. But, melancholy amidst all his greatness, he lived alone, understood and loved by few, hated by many, including Solomon, who was envious of his genius and glory. When Balkis, the Queen of Sheba, came to Jerusalem, Solomon led her to behold the temple, and the queen was lost in admiration. The king, captivated by her beauty, offered his hand, which she accepted. On again visiting the temple, she repeatedly desired to see the architect. Solomon delayed as long as possible, but at last was forced to present Hiram Abiff to the queen. When she wished to see the countless hosts of workmen that wrought at the temple, Solomon protested the impossibility of assembling them all at once. But Hiram, leaping on a stone to be better seen, with his right hand described in the air the symbolical Tor, and immediately the men hastened from all parts of the work into the presence of their master. At this the queen wondered greatly, and secretly repented the promise she had given the king, for she felt herself in love with the mighty architect. Solomon set himself to destroy this affection and to prepare his rival's humiliation and ruin. For this purpose, he employed 3 fellow crafts, envious of Hiram, because he had refused to raise them to the degree of masters on account of their want of knowledge and their idleness. The black envy of these 3 projected that the casting of the brazen sea, which was to raise the glory of Hiram to its utmost height, should turn out a failure. The day for the casting arrived, and the Queen of Sheba was present. The doors that restrained the molten metal were opened, and torrents of liquid fire poured into the cast mould wherein the brazen sea was to assume its form. But the burning mass flowed like lava over the adjacent acres. The terrified crowd fled from the advancing stream of fire, while Hiram, calm like a god, endeavoured to arrest its advance with ponderous columns of water, but without success. The dishonoured artificer could not withdraw himself from the scene of his discomfiture. Suddenly he heard a strange voice coming from above him and crying, "Hiram, Hiram, Hiram!" He raised his eyes and beheld a gigantic human figure. The apparition continued, "Come, my son, be without fear. I have rendered thee incombustible. Cast thyself into the flames." Hiram threw himself into the furnace, and, where others would have found death, he tasted ineffable delights. Nor could he, drawn by an irresistible force, leave it, and asked him that drew him into the abyss, "Who art thou?" "I am the father of thy fathers," was the answer. "I am Tubal-Cain." Tubal-Cain introduced Hiram into the sanctuary of fire and into the presence of Cain, the author of his race. When Hiram was about to be restored to earth, Tubal-Cain gave him the hammer with which he himself had wrought great things, and said to him, "Thanks to this hammer, and with the help of the genie of fire, thou shalt speedily accomplish the work left unfinished through man's stupidity and malignity." Hiram did not hesitate to test the wonderful efficacy of the precious instrument, and the dawn saw the great mass of bronze cast. The artist felt the most lively joy, the queen exulted. One day after this, the queen, accompanied by her maids, went beyond Jerusalem and there encountered Hiram alone and thoughtful. They mutually confessed their love. Solomon now hinted to the fellow crafts that the removal of his rival, who refused to give them the master's word, would be acceptable unto himself. So when the architect came into the temple, he was assailed and slain by them. They wrapped up his body, carried it to a solitary hill, and buried it, planting over the grave a sprig of acacia. Hiram, not having made his appearance for 7 days, Solomon, to satisfy the clamour of the people, was forced to have him searched for. The body was found by 3 masters, and they, suspecting that he had been slain by the 3 fellow crafts for refusing them the master's word, determined nevertheless, for greater security, to change the word. The 3 fellow crafts were traced, but rather than fall into the hands of their pursuers, they committed suicide, and their heads were brought to Solomon.